Hello everyone. Today, I bring you a truly captivating manga. A story so heartfelt, you might just forget to blink. Before we dive into the narrative, here's a glimpse of what it's about. It's the tale of a young boy. A boy who's never seen his mother, but dreams of meeting her. With that dream in his heart, he sets out on a lonely journey. A journey through a dangerous world filled with monsters and demons. Now, let's begin the story. In a cold, dark room, heavily armed soldiers move with precision. They aren't just any soldiers. They're equipped with futuristic tech, scanning every corner for something or someone. Then, one of them stops. He's found something. Huddled in the shadows is a strange little child. He looks wild, his hair long, his body bruised and injured. As soon as he spots the soldiers, his eyes burn with fury. He lets out a loud, angry roar and bolts. But before he can escape, a net flies through the air. He's caught, struggling, but captured. The scene shifts. Light floods the room. The child, once wild and fierce, now lies on a soft bed, his eyes wide open. Sunlight dances across his face. His long hair has been trimmed. He wakes up confused, unsure where he is or what's happening. He looks around. This isn't a cage. It's a room, clean clothes, a warm bed, food on the table. He's in a children's protection zone, a safe haven for children rescued from the horrors of war. A place that looks like an orphanage. He climbs down from the bed. His legs are scarred, the wounds healed, but the marks remain. He walks slowly, silently, taking in everything, the walls, the food, the silence. Despite the warmth, he speaks to no one, and when he's not inside, he sits alone on a hill under the open sky, lost in thought, until one day, a group of children approaches from behind. Their voices are strange, unsettling. "Want to play with us?" one of them asks. Startled, the boy turns, his expression strange, almost feral. The children scream and run, terrified by his unusual behavior. He had been living alone for so long. His mind was still part wild. Then something beautiful happens. A yellow butterfly floats down from the sky and lands on his hair. Mesmerized, the boy starts playing with it, crawling on the ground, laughing, reaching out with wonder. From a window, the orphanage director watches him closely. Her leg is injured. Beside her, a girl stands silently. "Can that boy talk?" the director asks. The girl shakes her head. He hasn't learned to speak yet." The director tilts her head, thoughtful. "But he seems to understand what we say." The girl nods. "Maybe he's just scared. The rescue team said he grew up with animals. He doesn't know the human world at all." The director chuckles softly. "Just like Mowgli," she says. "His story is so similar." The orphanage bell rings. Laughter echoes through the halls. Children rush toward their teacher. She's handing out letters. Excited, they shout, "It's from our sponsors." Watching from a distance, the boy stares, puzzled. He doesn't understand why they're so happy. Then a girl notices him. Orange hair, orange eyes. Dina. She walks over, smiling kindly. "These are letters from our sponsors," she explains. The boy stares blankly. Still no idea what that means. "Sometimes they send gifts, too." She pauses. "Don't you have a sponsor?" Still no response. So Dina takes his hand and begins to show him everything. A picture of a human. "A sponsor is someone older who takes care of us," she says. "Some are good, some are bad." Another child jumps in. "They're not bad." Dina grins. "Fine, let's say half are kind and half are bad." They head to the cafeteria. Dina tells him about Matthew, a boy whose sponsor sent him a huge toy for hitting people on the head. Matthew wouldn't shut up about it. Then at the swings, she talks about Lily, whose sponsor bought her a frilly dress she absolutely hated. Later in class, Dina whispers about Joe, the lucky one who actually met his sponsor in person. That night, under the table in their secret base, Dina reveals her secret. "I don't need a sponsor," she says quietly. "My mom left me here, and said she'll come back after I sleep for 100 nights. She smiles. 100 nights will pass in a blink of an eye, right? But her voice trembles. Her eyes shimmer. Mory watches, silent. He's never seen someone so sad, and yet so hopeful. He looks out the window, up at the stars, as if asking them for answers. The classroom was buzzing with excitement as the teacher clapped her hands to get everyone's attention. The children quickly quieted down, their eyes filled with anticipation. Today, the teacher began with a mysterious tone. I'll tell you something incredible. A story about aliens. The children gasped, instantly intrigued. She leaned in, her voice lowering to a dramatic whisper. A long time ago, aliens came to Earth, but they weren't here to conquer us. They came to create us. Yes, humans were made by aliens, and for a while, we lived together in harmony. We helped them, and they helped us. The room was silent, little eyes wide, imaginations running wild. Mory sat at the back, staring at the teacher, fully absorbed. When class ended, the playground was alive with chatter and laughter. Children recreated the alien scenes, pretending to be space beings and brave warriors. But one curious boy from the orphanage whispered something that caught everyone's attention. She was lying, he said, arms crossed. Another child frowned. Why would she lie to us? The curious boy shrugged with a sly smile. Because she thinks we're babies. He then pulled out an old, dusty book he had snuck out of the principal's office. It had a strange, ancient cover with glowing symbols. Look at this, he whispered, opening the book. It says aliens did come, but not to help us. They came to conquer Earth. Gasps echoed around him. He continued. But humans fought back with a super-duper strong nuclear weapon. But guess what? The alien got so angry, it ate the weapon whole. The kids stared at him in disbelief. Why would it eat it? Someone asked. Maybe, the boy said with a smirk, because it was hungry. The next day brought a surprise no one expected. The mail had arrived. The teacher called out names as children rushed forward to receive letters and small gifts from their sponsors. But then something unexpected happened. The teacher paused, holding up an envelope with wide eyes. Mory, you have a letter. The room went silent. Mory blinked, then slowly stepped forward, staring at the letter as if it were a piece of magic. He took it in his hands, unsure, confused, but curious. As he examined the envelope, a loud thud echoed behind him. He turned. Dina was standing there, frozen. Tears welled in her eyes, then began to fall. Without a word, she turned and ran, sprinting to her small makeshift room. Mory was left holding the letter, stunned and unsure why she was crying. Inside her room, Dina collapsed onto her tiny bed, burying her face in her arms. The little fortress she had built with pillows and curtains shook with her sobs. Outside, Mory stood quietly. He stepped in gently. Stay away from me, she screamed, her voice cracking under the weight of heartbreak. But Mory didn't leave. Instead, he did something unexpected. He began spinning in circles like a top, wobbling and staggering around the room like a clumsy dancer. Tears still flowed from Dina's eyes, but now confusion crept in. What was he doing? Spinning didn't work, so he reached into his pocket and pulled out a half-eaten cookie. His face lit up with a goofy smile as he extended it to her. Dina stared at the cookie, utterly baffled. It wasn't just a cookie. It was a gesture. A warm hand reaching out in her darkest moment. She hesitated, then smiled. But as she reached for the cookie, Mory's eyes followed it like a hawk. His mouth hung open, his gaze locked on the treat. Every time she moved it slightly, his head tilted, his tongue practically hanging out. She burst out laughing. For a moment, her tears disappeared, and the room filled with the sound of pure, innocent laughter. Then she remembered the letter. Let me read it for you, she said gently. Mory leaned in over her shoulder, his eyes wide with wonder. She opened the envelope and began reading. Hello there. That was it. Just 2 words. No name, no explanation. What, that's it? She said, puzzled. She held the letter up to the light, checking for hidden messages. Suddenly, something fluttered out of the envelope. Mory dove to the floor and snatched it up. It was a delicate, glowing blue flower. Mory's eyes sparkled. He held it up, staring at it like it was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. That night, while other children slept peacefully, Mory lay awake. The blue flower glowed faintly in the darkness, and he cradled it close. Its scent was like heaven, fresh and pure. As he stared at it, a strange warmth bloomed in his chest, a happiness he couldn't quite name. Then morning came, and with it, a mountain of gifts. The teacher wheeled in boxes, huge, colorful, overflowing with toys, clothes, pencils, and more. "Mory, all of this is for you." The children gathered around, jaws dropped in awe. "I've never seen so many pencils in my life," one exclaimed. "This doll talks. It's probably worth a fortune," said another. Dinah opened the second letter, frowning. "This handwriting is horrible." She squinted at it. "Hello there. And how are you?" She read, barely deciphering the messy scribbles. Meanwhile, Mory stared at a bright pencil, completely captivated. And then, he tried to eat it. "Stop, you can't eat that, you fool," Dina shouted, yanking it away. She laughed and pulled out a piece of paper, showing him how to draw. "These are for drawing, not eating." Mory watched in awe, eyes lighting up with wonder. The scene shifts and we see the weather was perfect. Sunlight streamed through the windows and a gentle breeze danced across the yard. The children decided it was the perfect day to do laundry. They rolled up their pants, tossed their clothes into buckets, and began stomping on them like grapes. Laughter echoed across the grounds. Mory joined in with pure joy, splashing water everywhere with wild enthusiasm. Dina watched them, puzzled. "What's so fun about stomping soft clothes?" she mumbled. "It's just fabric." But then, someone called her name. She turned. Her eyes widened in shock. A woman stood at the gate, smiling, waving. Dina dropped everything and ran. "Mom?" She jumped into her mother's arms. They hugged tightly, both crying uncontrollably. Her mother had come. She kept her promise. The children watched in stunned silence. Mory stood frozen, his heart trembling with emotion. As Dina packed her few belongings, she approached Mory with teary eyes. "Eat well and take care of yourself," she said, handing him his shoes. "Stop running around barefoot, you'll get hurt." He stayed quiet, but when she hugged him, Mory felt something powerful. Warmth, sadness, love. His arms wrapped around her as he clung to her tightly, smiling softly through the tears. "Always stay happy," she whispered before stepping away. Mory watched from a distance as Dina left with her mother. The other kids waved, crying and cheering. Mory stood still, silent, but changed. That evening, he sat on the hill alone. He pulled out all the letters he had hidden in his clothes, now reading them again and again. He picked one up, sniffed it. It had a sweet scent. His heart ached. Maybe the person sending these is my mother, he wondered. Hope bloomed in his chest. That night, Mory packed his things quietly. One last look at the orphanage. One last memory of his home. He raised his hand in silent goodbye and walked into the forest, chasing the possibility of finding the one person he longed for most, his mother. And with that, the orphanage arc comes to a bittersweet close. Little Mory has discovered friendship, emotions, and hope. And now begins his quest to find his mother. Will he find her? Is the mysterious sponsor really his mom? Or is a deeper secret waiting in the shadows? Let's find out together in the adventure arc. Coming up next, the sun hung low over the horizon, casting long golden rays across the silent landscape. Mory, with tiny footsteps and tear-streaked cheeks, wandered alone. He stumbled upon old railway tracks, half buried under the sand and time. They stretched endlessly toward the unknown. Instead of venturing into the dense, thorn-covered forest nearby, Mory made a decision only a lost, hopeful child could make. He followed the tracks. His stomach rumbled, his legs ached. But in his heart, one thing gave him strength: the memory of his mother's warm embrace. He remembered how his friend once reunited with his mother, how tightly they hugged, how tears turned into laughter. Mory wanted that. He needed that. And so he kept walking. Time passed in a blur. The skies dimmed, the wind whispered. Mory blinked, rubbing his tired eyes, and suddenly realized he was inside a moving train. He didn't know how he got there. Maybe someone had carried him inside, or maybe he'd simply wandered aboard unnoticed. Either way, he was now seated beside a dusty window, staring at the passing world. He watched with wide eyes, trying to make sense of it all. Where was he going? Would this train take him to his mother? The train clattered across the rails, far from the home he once knew. The train screeched to a stop at a desolate, sand-swept station. No one else got off. The platform was empty, lifeless. But Mory stepped down anyway, clutching his little bag tightly. As the train pulled away, he waved goodbye. But when he turned around, his eyes widened in shock. All around him was desert. Nothing but sand and sun and wind. Not a tree, not a house, not even a bird. Just an endless, scorching wasteland beneath a sky too big for someone so small. Completely alone. But Mory didn't cry. He simply started walking. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed in the distance. Metal, engines, and gunfire? Mory turned around. A terrifying sight was racing toward him. Dozens of monstrous alien-like bikers on hovering motorcycles. Their eyes glowed, their mouths snarled, their weapons flashed in the sun. They were shooting, and they were headed straight for him. Mory's heart thundered. He ran, as fast as his little legs could carry him, but he was just a child. The bikers were too fast. In seconds, they surrounded him. Their bikes revved and hissed as they closed in. Mory stood frozen, eyes wide with terror. One of the creatures leaned down, sniffing. "So, this is a human?" he growled, voice gravelly. Mory, panicking, sat down and started making bizarre faces, puffing his cheeks, crossing his eyes, sticking out his tongue. The monsters blinked, confused. Another chuckled. "What a weird creature." One grinned wickedly. "Let's eat him. He's small. No one will notice." Another added, "Just one leg. I'm sure he won't miss it." Mory's breath caught in his throat. They were serious, but before any of them could move, the ground trembled. A massive monster burst from the sand, twice as tall as the others, with pointed horns, razor-sharp teeth, and glowing red eyes. He landed between Mory and the bikers, the earth cracking beneath his weight. His voice was deep, booming, commanding. "Who gave you permission to eat this?" Silence. Then, every single monster dropped to their knees, heads bowed low. "Boss, please," they begged. "We didn't know. Forgive us." The giant creature's gaze locked on Mory. He stepped closer, inspecting him. "How did a human end up here?" he muttered. Mory didn't move. He couldn't. His entire body shook as the beast's eyes bore into him. Suddenly, a loud gunshot rang through the air. One of the monster's heads exploded in a spray of blood and sand. Chaos erupted. "Was that a bullet? Where did it come from?" The monsters scrambled, panic in their eyes. Their leader growled, scanning the horizon. And then, in the distance, a figure approached. A bike roared across the desert, kicking up clouds of sand. It was mounted with a weapon, and on it rode a being with crimson skin, two sharp horns and glowing eyes. A demon, the rider. The monsters cried out. "It's him, the rider!" But their boss snarled. "Fools, there's no need to panic. It's just one rider. We can kill him." He raised his fist. "Attack!" Gunfire erupted. A hailstorm of bullets rained down on the approaching rider. But he didn't stop. He swerved, spun, and danced through the air, dodging every bullet with impossible precision. His bike moved like it had a mind of its own. The boss monster roared and charged. A thunderous explosion rocked the desert. Smoke, fire, silence. The boss smirked, thinking the rider was finished. But then, a shadow soared above. The rider's bike flew high into the sky, untouched by the blast. He raised his weapon. A devastating shot thundered down. In an instant, every creature was annihilated. The desert erupted in fire and dust. A massive crater now lay where the gang once stood. The rider stood alone in the center, his voice low and dangerous. "How dare you trespass into my territory without my permission?" He turned slowly, his glowing eyes locked onto Mory. Mory stood frozen, overwhelmed by the sight. The rider's face was terrifying, eyes like burning suns, expression sharp and cold, covered in battle scars and demonic markings. He looked like a living nightmare. Mory clenched his fists, and despite his fear, he glared. He tried to look scary, intimidating, like a warrior. The rider's lips curled into a smirk. "Feisty little thing." A small flying robot appeared behind the rider, scanning Mory up and down with a soft hum. "Species, human. Age estimate, infant." The rider blinked. "A human infant?" His expression shifted. He knelt down slowly, his voice changing, softer, gentle. "Well, hello there. How are you, little boy?" Mory blinked, stunned. That voice. It was kind, warm. The rider smiled. "You look lost. Would you like to meet my friend? This is Aya, a robot I created." He gestured to the hovering machine. "Don't worry, I'll take you home. I might look scary, but I'm actually very kind." Mory's lips trembled, then smiled. It was pure, childlike joy. Raider chuckled. "Follow me closely, little one. I promise I'll get you home safe." As they walked, Mory giggled, fascinated by the flying Aya. He asked questions, pointed at the blinking lights, even tried to touch the robot's wings. But behind Raider's smile, something darker brewed. His thoughts turned. Eating a human isn't illegal, just taboo. This one's too small for eating. Not much meat, but maybe someone out there might pay for a pet like him, a collector, a lunatic. Raider kept smiling as Mory laughed beside him. Then something caught his eye. Mory's cloak, expensive fabric, unusual design, and stitched on the corner. A symbol. Raider froze. He reached out. "Hey, there's something on your clothes." As he lifted the cloak to examine the mark, his eyes widened. Sweat formed on his brow. He dropped the cloth as if it burned him. That symbol. No mistake. He backed away slightly, stammering. "You know what? It's getting late. I just remembered something important. Real important." Mory tilted his head, confused. But Raider was already turning away, mind racing. That symbol wasn't just strange. It was forbidden. Abruptly, Raider hops onto his bike, clearly shaken. He doesn't even look Mory in the eyes. "I trust you'll find your way home. You're smart, right?" he says, his voice trembling. "Good luck, kid. I've got to go. Really busy, you see." Before Mory can respond, the bike revs to life, and Raider speeds off into the shimmering desert horizon, kicking up a trail of dust behind him. Mory just stands there, confused, watching his only companion disappear. On the bike, Raider mutters to himself under his breath, his voice laced with fear. "That symbol? I'm sure it's the same one. If I mess with that kid, I could lose my life." Hovering beside him, Aya the robot chimes in dryly. "This is what they call chickening out." "Shut your mouth," Raider snaps, his nerves fraying. "You don't know anything about this." He swallows hard. "I was so scared it made my throat dry." Suddenly, pop. A bottle of water materializes in front of him from Aya's dispenser. Raider, drenched in sweat, grabs it quickly. "Thanks." As he raises the bottle to drink, he glances down, and his eyes nearly pop out of his skull. Mory is sitting calmly on the silencer beneath the bike. Raider screams in shock. "When did you get here? How?" Mory just stares at him blankly, completely clueless. Raider, furious and flustered, tries to kick Mory off, but in doing so, he loses control of the bike. Clang! The front wheel hits a rock. Boom! The bike crashes, flinging both rider and child through the air. Raider groans as he regains consciousness. It's already night. The stars are out, cold winds brushing across the desert. He blinks and realizes he's covered in strange letters and papers, all written in a language he doesn't recognize. A small toy rests beside his hand. Utterly bewildered, he picks up one of the papers, inspecting the mysterious symbols. Just then, Mory's face appears inches from his own, causing Raider to scream like a demon being exorcised. The robot floats nearby, unbothered. "Finally, you're awake," Aya says. It begins explaining. When Raider passed out, Aya told Mory that the demon's body temperature was dropping and he might get sick. So Mory, using whatever he had, letters, toys, anything, covered Raider up and even lit a small fire to keep him warm. Raider, still confused, manages to say a dry, "Thanks." The robot adds, "By the looks of it, you're thirsty again." Before Raider can react, Mory darts off. Raider blinks, unsure what's happening. A minute later, Mory returns, running full speed with a bottle of water. But just before he reaches Raider, he trips on a rock. Splash! The water spills entirely over Raider, soaking him from head to toe. Mory gasps, shocked and apologetic, scrambling to collect the now wet papers. As he does, Raider's eyes lock onto something. One of the letters bears the same mysterious symbol from Mory's cloak. His heart skips. "There's no doubt about it," he mutters. "This is the patch." Raider stares at the symbol with wide eyes. The patch. A symbol tied to one of the 7 fingers of him. A godlike being considered the beginning and the end of the universe. Only the chosen few, those permitted by this entity, can bear the symbol. To use it without permission, to even touch it disrespectfully, is to invite a death so fast and unforgiving, your soul wouldn't even have time to scream. A warning to the universe. Raider gulps. Every single letter Mory has bears the patch. And not only that, they're handwritten. The paper alone is worth a fortune. And the tone, filled with genuine affection. Raider stares at Mory, who is now doodling in the sand, humming to himself. This small, clueless child is receiving letters from him. He squints at Mory's clothes again. Rich fabrics, enchanted stitching. All signs point to someone important. Raider's mind starts racing. If I take this kid back to his people, I'll be rewarded beyond imagination. The sun rises over the desert. Aya's battery begins to run low. I'm running on 2%, the robot says dryly. Go rest and charge your battery, Raider tells it. The moment Aya floats back to the bike begins to vanish, phasing into a rest mode along with the robot. Great, Raider sighs. We're walking now. With no other choice, Raider and Mory begin their journey on foot. Raider mutters, I'm a lifesaver now, helping out a kid. What kind of twisted story is this? In the distance, a pair of lizards meet eyes. They fall in love instantly. Time passes. They have babies. But then, one dies. Life was short but happy for Lizard. Rest in peace. Meanwhile, Raider keeps talking. I know this place better than anyone. You'll be safe, kid. I'll get you home. He keeps rambling. But he suddenly realizes Mory hasn't been listening at all. Raider glances over, just in time to see Mory sitting down, chewing on something. His eyes widen. How dare you not listen to Raider while he's speaking, he yells. He rushes over. What's in your mouth? He grabs Mory's face and forces it open, revealing a wriggling insect. Spit it out. Are you crazy? He yanks it free just before Mory can swallow. Are you trying to die? Raider scolds him. But Mory just stares blankly and looks elsewhere, bored. Fuming, Raider grabs his cheeks. Look here, you brat. He holds up the bug. If you ever see an insect with blue legs or any blue marks, don't eat it. Could be poisonous. He points at the ground. Mushrooms with swollen roots. Don't eat them. Entirely blue bugs, death. Understand? Mory doesn't respond. Raider sighs. Great, I'm talking to a brick. Just as Raider thinks he's established some rules, Mory starts doodling on the demon's bike with a rock. Mory, no. Then the boy tries to hug a living cactus. Don't do that. Then, he walks into a sandy swamp and sinks waist deep. Raider spends the entire day rescuing, scolding, and chasing after the chaotic child. By nightfall, he's slumped by the fire, face buried in his hands. What nonsense am I doing? He groans. He glances over. Mory is sitting quietly by the fire, drawing something. Raider walks over, curious. What are you doing? Mory turns, face lighting up. He proudly shows Raider the drawing, filled with energy and joy, Mory starts babbling, trying to explain in broken words. Raider doesn't understand any of it. Then his eyes catch something. A small nameplate drawn in crayon. Mory. That's your name? Mory beams and shows another drawing. It features himself, the robot, and a black, spiky figure. Who's this black thing? Mory points at Raider. Raider recoils. That's supposed to be me? I don't look that bad. But he keeps staring at it. For a long time. He doesn't realize it, but he's smiling. It might be the first time someone has drawn a picture of him. Aya floats up. You look really happy staring at that drawing. Raider turns red. I'm not. Who said that? Aya scans the drawing. This flat, round shape must be me. It adds with amusement. The kid's got talent. Strong observation, poor execution. 50 points. Mory doesn't understand, but smiles at the praise. Raider glances at the child again. And for the first time, he feels it. Affection. Mory's innocence, chaos, and warmth. It was impossible to resist. Raider leans back, eyes half-lidded in exhaustion. He glances at Mory, still scribbling away with a tiny, determined smile. Raider grins. Hey kid, next time, draw me a little more impressive. Mory blinks, then nods energetically, completely misunderstanding but happy all the same. And just like that, the night quietly fades into morning. As the first rays of sunlight stretch across the vast desert, Raider stands tall on a cliff, surveying the land ahead. A soft wind brushes past him, carrying grains of sand that shimmer like golden dust. He squints at the horizon. Once we cross that hill, he mutters to himself, we'll finally be there. A sense of relief flickers in his eyes, until he turns around. Mory? The kid is gone. A flash of movement catches his eye. There, at the foot of the cliff, Mory is running, right toward a strange creature. It looks young, curious, but unfamiliar. Raider growls in frustration. "Hey, get back here, brat! If you don't hurry up, I'm leaving you." But just as he's about to yell again, the ground shakes. A larger version of the creature bursts out of the earth between them. Twice the size, twice the power. Its body radiates heat. Flames ripple along its back like molten armor. Ryder freezes. The older beast places a burning palm on Mory's tiny shoulder, flames licking up its arm. Ryder's heart drops. "Hey, back off!" Without a second thought, he draws his gun and fires. The older creature throws itself in front of the younger one, taking the shot. Ryder sprints forward, eyes locked on Mory. When he reaches him, a horrifying sight meets him. Mory surrounded by flames, his small body completely engulfed. No. No, no, no. A cold chill of fear stabs into Ryder's chest. He's gonna burn. But then, whoosh! Mory's cloak flutters wildly, and just like magic, the flames begin to disappear, one by one, drawn into the black void beneath the cloak. The fire vanishes. Mory fell to the ground. Ryder and Aya are left stunned. What the hell just happened? Ryder drops to his knees beside Mory, carefully checking his body. Breathing. Yes. No burns. Unbelievable. A wave of relief washes over him, immediately followed by rage. He jerks his head back toward the creatures, eyes blazing. "You!" He points his gun at them again. "You nearly turned this kid into ash. What was that?" The older creature steps in front of the younger one, raising its hands defensively, trying to explain in its strange alien language. "Are you kidding me right now?" Ryder snaps. "You're trying to play the victim?" The creature gestures again nervously. Raider growls. "Oh, now you're nervous, huh? What about him? Does your kid matter more than mine?" He gestures furiously to Mory. This kid, this human child, almost became barbecue. Two guardians, arguing for their childs without understanding a word the other says. Suddenly, the ground begins to rumble beneath their feet. Aya's voice cuts through the tension. "Warning, something large is coming from below. I repeat, something big is coming." The trembling intensifies. The sand cracks open, and from the depths of the desert, an enormous earth dragon-like creature emerges. It towers over them all, its massive body circling the group with slow, deliberate steps. Ryder's instincts kick in. "That's an adult," he whispers. "I need to get Mory out of here now." But before he can move, something unexpected happens. The giant creature approaches the two others and gently bonks the older one on the head. The creature bows deeply, then so does the other. A moment of silence. Then, apologies. At least that's what it feels like. Ryder stares, dumbfounded. "Wait, what? Are you seriously apologizing right now?" The smaller creature steps forward. Eyes wide with kindness, it holds something out toward Mory. A shiny stone, gleaming like a crystal. Mory blinks and rummages through his little bag. He pulls out a single feather, simple but beautiful, and gently offers it back. The creature's eyes sparkle. The next moment, they begin circling each other, joyful, spinning, laughing in their own way. Raider stands there, caught in the whirlwind of childlike joy and intergalactic playtime. The robot floats nearby. "Seems like peace talks were successful," Aya comments. The creatures climb onto the back of the towering earth beast. The younger one glances back at Mory with a beaming smile, its little hand waving goodbye. Raider watches silently as they disappear into the distance. Then his gaze shifts back to Mory. The boy is clutching his cloak tightly, his expression a mix of quiet and sadness. Ryder kneels beside him. "You survived because of this," he says softly, touching the fabric. "It's no ordinary cloak. It's magic, has powerful protection, probably even temperature control." He places a hand gently on Mory's shoulder. "Be grateful to whoever gave it to you. They must care about you more than anything in the world." Mory looks up. Then suddenly, he starts circling around Ryder again, laughing, beaming. The robot watches, amused. "Seems like spinning around is how he shows happiness." Raider chuckles. "What a weird kid." But even as he says it, he smiles. Night blankets the desert once again. Mory and Ryder sleep on the ground, close to a crackling fire under the open sky. But while Mory sleeps peacefully, Ryder lies awake, staring into the flickering flames. His gaze is distant, haunted by the memory of that fleeting sadness on Mory's face. "Yeah," he mutters. The floating droid whirs softly in response. Display, human data. A digital screen flickers to life before his eyes, casting a cold glow over Ryder's face. "This is all the information we have," Aya reports. Ryder frowns. The data is sparse, fragmented. "There must have been a mother," he says quietly. "Every child has someone." Aya tilts, confused. Ryder sighs. "Humans, they don't divide like us. They reproduce. A long time ago, when the Earth's masters briefly left for space, they returned to a planet no longer their own. New life forms had emerged. Among them, creatures of greed, conquest, and boundless arrogance." He clenches a fist. "Humans convinced themselves everything belonged to them. The ground, the sky, even each other." Aya listens in silence. Eventually, their numbers dwindled. They vanished. Probably because the powerful never cared about their young. His voice lowers. "They just left them behind." Ryder looks down at Mory. The boy is curled up next to him, breathing softly. Ryder leans closer and gently examines Mory's tiny hands. One of them suddenly wraps around Ryder's thumb. He freezes. Mory's sleeping face twitches. And then he smiles. A smile so small, yet powerful enough to start wars. Ryder stares, mesmerized. He chuckles quietly and pokes Mory's cheek. The child shifts in his sleep, scooting away, making Ryder laugh under his breath. Somewhere far from the warmth of their fire, deep inside a cold, dimly lit room, a voice cuts through the darkness. The forest around the shelter, completely biodetected. There's no way we missed it. The alien growls. He has 4 eyes, all glowing with hunger. "But I'll find it. I swear I will." Oh no. Looks like some bad guys are coming for our sweet little cutie pie. Back at the fire, Ryder continues playing with Mory, completely unaware of the danger lurking in the shadows. The next morning, Mory slowly opens his eyes. He's no longer in the desert. He stands in the middle of a vibrant meadow, flowers dancing in the breeze, skies painted in shades of violet and gold. It's beautiful, magical. His eyes widen with awe, but as he blinks again, reality returns. He's back on Ryder's bike, wind in his hair as they zoom across the landscape. Ryder points ahead. "Look." And there it is, a breathtaking city nestled between cliffs, shining under the morning sun. The heart of the city is a chaotic, colorful market, filled with creatures of every size, shape, and species. Mory gazes up, captivated by the towering buildings, the strange foods, the curious faces. But then, a scream. Ryder immediately turns, scanning for threats. Instead, they find a crowd of aliens, surrounding Mory. Mesmerized. "Adorable," one shouts. "Look at those eyes," another squeals. They shower him with praises and reach out excitedly. Mory starts trembling. Ryder yanks him back and snaps, "Do you have any idea how much this thing cost?" The aliens pause, stunned. Ryder smirks. "You want to see him? Pay up." The crowd quickly disperses. Ryder sighs. "Great, kid's more popular than I thought." They enter an old inn buzzing with even more aliens. Some stare, some whisper. One walks up and asks, "Are you his owner? May I touch him?" Ryder's patience wears thin. Then he spots someone. A tall, yellow-haired alien with 2 sharp horns and a sly grin. "Valentine." Valentine chuckles. "So, when did you decide to raise a human?" Ryder narrows his eyes. "He's not food. Don't get any ideas." Valentine laughs. "Relax. No one eats humans anymore. It's considered a taboo nowadays." Ryder pulls out one of Mory's letters and places it on the table. "Seen this symbol?" Valentine leans in. His expression changes. "Yeah, it's a payment symbol. Saw it once during a trade negotiation." "Where?" Ryder demands. "In this city, and the guy had black hair too. Like the kid." Ryder frowns. "Why would someone like that come here?" Valentine shrugs. "There's always a reason." "Anyway," Ryder mutters, "I want accommodation. And supplies. That'll be 50, Valentine says immediately. Ryder glares. 50? For what, a royal suite? They argue, loudly, passionately. In the background, Mory and Aya play together, giggling. Finally, Valentine slams a hand on the table. 42. Final offer. Ryder sighs and dumps his entire bag onto the floor. A mess of junk, spare tools, and broken parts scatter everywhere. Aya suggests, sell the battery. Still 70% charged. Ryder shakes his head. Too valuable. Then, sell the letters? Ryder scoffs. What next, my soul? You want me to starve? His eyes fall on the yellow stone, the gift from that creature. He hesitates, then holds it up. What about this? Mory instantly stiffens. Valentine leans in, and suddenly slams it against the table, shattering it into pieces. What the hell? Ryder shouts. Mory's eyes blaze with fury. He leaps forward to attack, but Ryder holds him back. Wait! Valentine gestures to the shattered pieces. They begin to tremble. The stone reforms itself, glowing softly. Valentine explains. It absorbs light, restores itself, glows at night. Ryder squints. Is it valuable? Nah, Valentine shrugs. They're everywhere now. Worthless. Disappointed, Ryder tosses the stone. It rolls across the floor. Mory chases after it, weaving through a crowd of aliens. He finally reaches for it. But another hand reaches too. A black, twisted hand. Mory looks up. A sinister alien with 4 arms stands before him. Its face is cold. Its eyes, too calm. Very cute, it murmurs. Suddenly, it grabs Mory by the collar. Before anyone can react, it shoves him into a hidden pocket beneath its cloak. Mory disappears. The alien seals the fabric and begins walking away, unnoticed. Inside the darkness, Mory screams. He bangs his fists, kicks the walls, calls for Ryder, his voice echoing in the void. But no one hears him. No one knows he's gone. Maybe all those childhood warnings by our parents were true. Don't go too far. Stay close or the bad guys will take you. My poor little Mory. Someone help him. Please let Ryder find him in time. Fingers crossed. In the middle of his chat with Valentine, a strange unease creeps into Ryder's chest. He scans the room. His gaze narrows. Something's off. Then he sees it. An alien, subtly inching away, trying to disappear into the crowd. And just before leaving, that alien glances back at Ryder. Their eyes meet. It's a look of panic, guilt. Ryder doesn't hesitate. He charges through the inn, shouting over his shoulder, Aya, track him! The alien slips into another street, blending into the sea of travelers and stalls. But Ryder pushes through the crowd, relentless. Scan the area, he barks. Aya flies above, her digital screen flashing maps and thermal scans. Human life form detected, she reports. Temperature, 36.8 degrees Celsius, in the alien's lower left compartment. Mory. Ryder's blood boils. I'll cut him off, he growls. Aya calculates quickly. Her screen splits into routes, trajectories, probabilities. 14 possible escape routes. Calculating speed, momentum. Route 2, she finally says. Most likely path. Ryder nods and bolts left, ascending a spiral staircase at top speed. The alien, down below, darts through stalls looking for cover. But he's no match for a pissed-off Ryder. Ahead, a female alien is proudly presenting her art, a luminous sculpture made of color-changing crystals. Too bad. Ryder plows right through it, shattering it completely. She gasps, holding back tears. Sorry, ma'am. Art will have to wait. Meanwhile, inside the alien's bag, Mory is being tossed around like laundry in a washer. His tiny hands claw at the fabric. He's terrified, trembling. Back above, Aya recalculates again. Route 11, switch now! Ryder pivots sharply, muscles burning, slamming into corners as he pushes through the crowd. Then, yellow tape. Aya, seriously? No time, jump! He leaps, smashing into the rocky floor below. Pain shoots up his leg, but he doesn't stop. Ahead, the alien skids to a halt and freezes. Aya floats down in her bike form, blocking the path. The alien glares. Who are you? Why are you chasing me? You little rat. After kidnapping Mory, now you play innocent? Ryder clenches his fists. Mory, he shouts. If you can hear me, answer. There's a faint, muffled sound. Aya scans. 98% certainty it's him. Ryder pulls his gun, fury written all over his face. Return the human. The alien stammers. Human? What? I've been raising him. Ryder steps forward. Stop the act. He's in your damn pocket. The alien's voice rises. He's too cute. I've decided to raise him. Oh, my God. Kidnapped by a fanboy. I mean, yes, Mory's cuteness is lethal. But this is a federal crime. I'm calling the intergalactic FBI. The alien glares at Ryder. You're a dangerous outlaw. You think you can raise him? I can love him more. Ryder's eyes narrow. You think this is about ownership? Let Mory choose. The alien scoffs. Doesn't matter. Ryder's gun clicks. He dematerializes Aya. The alien's eyes widen. Firing a weapon in town makes you a criminal. Ryder's voice is cold. I already am. Inside the bag, Mory sobs. Helpless, alone. Then, a faint voice. His mother's doll buried deep in the pocket whispers, Remember, Mory. Always use the bathroom before bed. Not exactly the advice we were looking for, but hey, when nature calls. Back outside, the alien starts bragging again, proposing the most absurd deal. You can take the head. I'll keep the body. Ryder's face darkens. He's had enough. Gun, 63% charge, enough to vaporize a limb, but if the cloak compresses, he might crush Mory. Just then, a warm sensation spreads across the alien's torso. He freezes, looks down. Is this? Yep, Mory peed. In his pocket. The alien shrieks in horror. Filthy, gross, Ryder's lips curl into a grin. From the folds of fabric, Mory suddenly bursts out, butt naked, grabbing his tiny pants and making a mad dash. Run, Mory! The alien lunges. Ryder fires. The alien's hand explodes into shards. He howls in agony, falling to the ground, scrambling to gather his scattered jewelry. Ryder approaches slowly, gun still raised. You ever touch him again? He growls. And I'll make sure you're crawling on your belly like the vermin you are. The alien shudders, defeated. Voices approaching. Aya warns, gunshot detected. They're coming. Ryder scoops Mory up, materializes the bike, slaps on his pants, and speeds off like lightning through the alley. Safe, for now. With Mory clinging tightly to his chest, Ryder finally exhales. A deep breath. And then he laughs. A real, raw belly laugh. He throws his head back, mimicking the alien's flustered face, even reenacting the moment he screamed at the pee incident. Aya floats beside him, visibly amused. That was, honestly, a brilliant strategy, she says. Weaponized cuteness and tactical urination. Ingenious. Ryder turns to Mory, ruffling his hair. Well done, brat. Even Mory's toy joins in, its tiny digital voice chiming, I'm proud of you, Mory. The praise lifts Mory's spirits. That little puff of confidence rises in his chest as he strikes a pose, now perched high on Ryder's head like a king surveying his kingdom. Aya, Ryder says. Which way now? Her screen lights up, analyzing the terrain. Fastest route leads through the Whispering Mountains. We'll reach the whale's cradle by nightfall. Without hesitation, Ryder revs the bike, and off they go. Mory! He yells as the boy climbs dangerously high on his head. Stop that! If you fall, I'm not catching you. Aya chimes in, exasperated. Both of you, sit still while I'm driving. The road winds upward into misty mountain ranges. At the summit, Mory gasps in wonder. A sea of green and gold stretches beneath them, forests, ruins, rivers. And the sky? Painted in every shade of blue imaginable. They camp near an ancient ruin. Mory plays with Aya, giggling as she hovers and spins around him like a firefly. Dinner is roasted meat over a crackling fire. But not every moment is perfect. Ryder switches on his torch and wham. Mory smacks it out of his hand, fists flying. Data update, Aya notes. Subject Mory shows intense fear response to bright spotlights. The next day, they explore the ruins, walls etched with faded messages. No war. Hopeful, haunting, forgotten by time. Aya finds a wooden board. Soon enough, they're laughing, floating downstream. Mory laying on the board, relaxed, while Ryder and Aya watching him. Can we all just agree? They deserve this peace. After all the chaos, this is their moment of rest. That peace doesn't last long. As they approach a shadowy cave, dozens of glowing eyes peer back at them. Monsters. Ryder scoops Mory into his arms and bolts. Behind them, eerie howls echo in the dark. Later, when the adrenaline fades, Mory and Aya team up for revenge. They doodle all over Ryder's sleeping face. He wakes up groggy and fabulous. They ride through vast landscapes, mountains veiled in mist, grasslands dancing in the wind. Mory spots something ahead, a flickering light in the sky. And then he sees them. Whales, enormous, majestic creatures gliding through the heavens. Among them, a baby whale drifts down, hovering close. Mory, eyes wide, lifts his hand. Understanding, Ryder lifts him higher. The baby whale floats right above. Mory's fingers brush its fin. Magic. In that moment, nothing else exists. Just the sky, the stars, and a boy who forgot what fear felt like. We love you, author. Seriously, thank you for this masterpiece. That night, Mory dreams of his mother, her arms wrapped around him, her voice like a lullaby. He wakes up wrapped in a jacket, safe and warm. Ryder notices. Aya, did you wrap him up? She shrugs, just being cautious. Well, if you don't like it, she smirks, why don't you drive? Ryder scoffs. Autonomous driving is a blessing, and you know it. She teases him. What would you do without me? He fires back. Hey, I made you. Sure, she says, but I perfected myself. They arrive at a snow-covered mountain. Ryder gazes at it, his breath fogging in the air. This place hasn't changed. Aya urges caution. Let's move quietly. The whales pass here at night. If they wake up and break their legs, Ryder jokes, we'll have to take the long way. Excited, Ryder turns to Mory. Want to see something awesome? Aya narrows her eyes. Isn't he over-equipped? Mory looks down at his bulky outfit, cloaked and bundled like a tiny marshmallow. He has the ultra-defensive cloak, Aya says. Why not just let him walk? Ryder's eyes twinkle mischievously. Or, hear me out. We roll him. Mory stares blankly. Roll me? Aya. That's child abuse. Ryder. It's fun, like a living snowball. Mory remains thoroughly confused. Poor kid. As the wind howled across the snowy peaks, Aya's voice cut sharply through the silence. Ryder, something's coming, fast. Ryder frowned, eyes scanning the white horizon. Hunters from the town? But Annie's next words made his heart skip a beat. Speed, 491 kilometers per hour and accelerating. Ryder's eyes narrowed, his grip tightened on the bike handles. Who the hell moves like that? Suddenly, a heavy pressure presses down like the weight of gravity itself twisting. It wasn't just speed. It was presence. His instincts screamed. Without another word, he summoned his bike and slammed the accelerator. ETA, 2 minutes and 45 seconds, Aya reported. Ryder grit his teeth and pushed harder. Correction, Aya said a second later, 53 seconds. What? Mory, innocently curious, looked over his shoulder, and there, breaking through the snow with unnatural speed, came a dark figure. Aya immediately pinged its coordinates. Ryder swerved to a stop, pivoting around and unleashing a plasma beam. The air split with searing light, only for the energy to vanish. Ryder blinked. The plasma hadn't missed. It had been eaten. A miniature black hole spun in the air for a moment, then winked out. A massive shockwave ripped through the snow. Ryder turned, shielding Mory from the impact as the figure finally emerged. That alien. The same one who'd been ordered to retrieve Mory. Ryder's heart dropped. They hired a black hole manipulator. Just because I fired a few shots in town? He studied the alien's unreadable eyes, staring straight at Mory. Aya, he muttered. If I go all out, what are my odds? 16%, she answered flatly. 7% margin of error, if a natural disaster occurs. Ryder muttered a curse. Aya's predictions were almost always accurate. There was no winning here. But maybe, just maybe, there was a way around it. He quickly pointed his gun toward the mountains. It's now or never. He fired. Plasma slammed into the mountain's base. Aya, release the limiter. Warning. Overclock mode active. The bike's energy surged, shaking beneath him. Watch out for fractures, Aya warned, as snow began to break loose from the peaks above. The ground trembled. The avalanche began. Ryder tore through the mountain pass, racing death itself. Hold on, Mory, he yelled over the roaring wind. Mory's face was squished by the air pressure, eyes wide with excitement and fear. They flew across the snowy bridge, ice snapping under the pressure of their speed. But the alien, he didn't stop. He was right behind them, effortlessly gliding over the snow like a ghost. Ryder turned, firing again and again. Each shot devoured by the black hole like crumbs in a void. Why wasn't he attacking? Why was he just following? But just as Ryder thought they might reach the other side, the alien teleported directly next to him. His fist shot out, grabbed Ryder by the throat. Ryder thrashed, kicked, shot point blank. All of it, absorbed into nothing. Then, the alien turned his gaze to Mory. He reached forward. But Mory's eyes glared back in defiance, full of fire and confusion. The alien paused. His hand hesitated. Something about the boy, something raw and unshaken, stopped him cold. And that's when Ryder struck. With a furious yell, he leapt into the air, dragging Mory with him, and dove off the edge of the cliff. Below, a sleeping whale stirred. It opened its glowing eyes, and Ryder landed on its fin, grabbing his bike. The alien stood at the cliff's edge, simply watching. Mory met his gaze as the whales rose toward the sky, disappearing into the clouds. Later, Ryder opened his eyes, groggy and confused. You passed out, Aya informed him. Likely from rapid altitude shift. He blinked. Where are we? Mory was safe. Aya confirmed it. She was genuinely impressed. Awakening the whales? Nicely played. They stood on the edge of a city. The skyline gleamed in the sunlight, a fragile piece hovering in the air. Ryder set Mory down beside him. The two of them stood quietly, watching the whales fade into the sky. But now, the city. Let's head for the entrance, Ryder said. Wait, Annie warned. You might be wanted. Better disguise yourself. His horns bent downward. His hair spilled down over his eyes. He shrugged off his jacket and looked completely different. He turned to Mory with a grin, but Mory just stared. Then, panic. Mory's eyes filled with tears as he began squirming violently. Hey, it's me. What are you doing? Mory didn't recognize him. Aya floated over, analyzing. He's not responding to your new appearance. What do I do now? Aya paused. Then her screen lit up with an idea. She plopped down on Mory's head, wrapping him in his cloak. Then gently placed Mory back on Ryder's head and threw Ryder's jacket over the both of them like a cocoon. To anyone watching, they looked like a walking pile of laundry. Aya just hovered beside them, watching the two bicker and stumble through the gates like the weirdest little family in the galaxy. Still tangled beneath Ryder's oversized jacket, Mory wiggled uncomfortably. Ryder grumbled, trying to adjust the awkward bundle of cloak, jacket, and child on his head. As their playful bickering continued, it was abruptly cut off by a pleasant robotic voice. Welcome. How may I assist you? They all froze. Before them stood a sleek service bot, its metal frame gleaming in the soft glow of the city entrance. Aya replied, We're here to meet the patch. Please present the insignia, the bot requested. Mory, ever helpful, dug into his pouch of goodies and gave her the letter. The bot scanned it, and with a soft hum summoned a glowing list in mid-air. Here are the registered individuals connected to the insignia. Whom are you here to see? Ryder blinked. Wait, we have to choose? Aya hesitated, her sensors flaring in uncertainty. I didn't expect this. While they puzzled over the list, Mory tilted his head at the glowing glyphs. He reached into his bag again and pulled out a crystallized blue flower, its delicate petals shimmering. The bot scanned it. Identified. One registered member linked with this item. Without further explanation, it conjured a black door from thin air. The void pulsed gently, humming with arcane energy. What is that? Ryder frowned. A portal? Aya guessed. They circled it cautiously. No need to be alarmed, the bot reassured. No matter the direction, this door will take you where you need to go. Comforting, Ryder muttered. He sighed, squared his shoulders, and reached into the blackness. It didn't burn, sting, or pull, so he stepped through. They emerged into a wide green grassland, the sudden change in scenery leaving them momentarily breathless. A grand mansion towered in the distance, sunlight bouncing off its windows. Ryder blinked. That is a weird house. Definitely unique, Aya mused. The structure appears handmade. Mory, however, lit up. It looks like the orphanage he stayed in before, with the big windows and the garden. He dashed forward, full of excitement. They approached the front gate, and Ryder searched for any sort of intercom or button. Nothing. Then Mory's ears perked. A voice. He turned toward the window. There. A woman with long black hair, just visible before disappearing behind a curtain. Mom? He thought. Without a second thought, he slipped between the iron bars of the gate. Mory! Ryder shouted. Wait, come back here. It could be a trap. But the little boy had already reached the house. He climbed onto the windowsill and tumbled inside, completely ignoring the frantic yelling outside. Ryder banged on the front door. No response. No bell, no lock. What kind of mansion is this? Mory landed softly on the wooden floor and immediately noticed a long hallway stretching into the shadows. An open door ahead creaked. Drawn by curiosity and the hope blooming in his chest, he tiptoed forward. Inside the room, he saw someone standing, a tall figure with feathers and robes. Ah? He murmured, confused. The figure turned. Alien nuns, bird-like with expressive beaks and glowing eyes. One gasped. Who? A guest? Who let you in? We didn't hear any guests coming. Mory stepped back, growing nervous under their gaze. They muttered among themselves about something. Then, a scent, the blue crystallized flower. Mory's nose twitched. He turned his head, chasing the familiar smell down the hallway. Wait, where are you going? One nun called. But Mory didn't answer. He sprinted down the corridor, tiny feet pattering, and pushed open another door. Thud. He bumped into someone, the same scent. He looked up and froze. Eyes, dozens of them, all peering down at him. A shadowed figure loomed, its face covered in eerie wings, its form radiating presence. The air around them glowed faintly. Mory couldn't move. He saw her hand reach out to him. A tender, soft motion. A memory surfaced, Dina hugging her mom, face radiant, glowing with joy. He always imagined that moment for himself, his mother's smile, her embrace, her voice calling his name. He wanted it more than anything. He lived for it. He dreamed of it every night. But this wasn't that dream. It didn't feel right, didn't feel warm, didn't feel her. And for the first time, his heart broke. The alien gently moved to touch his head, and Mory burst into tears. His sobs echoed down the hall, full of pain and confusion. His tiny frame shook, and the glowing presence knelt, unsure what to do. From the doorway, Ryder's voice rang out. Mory! Hearing him only made the crying louder. The alien being and Ryder exchanged glances, both stunned. This was the first time they had ever witnessed a human child crying. The atmosphere in the room was quiet. Under the bed, Mory sat quietly, curled up in the corner, his arms wrapped around his legs. His eyes, still puffy from crying, stared blankly at the wooden frame inches in front of his nose. From the bed above, Ryder sighed. Come on, little guy. You gonna stay under there forever? Aya hovered near the edge of the bed, voice soft and teasing. Mory, I have snacks, and not just any snacks. Cheesy ones, the kind you like. No response. The other alien caretakers peeked into the room, murmuring among themselves as they watched Ryder and Aya try everything short of crawling under the bed themselves. Eventually, Ryder stood and stepped out, rubbing the back of his neck. Outside, Miria stood in the hallway, her silhouette illuminated by the moonlight streaming through the windows. Her wings shifted faintly behind her. "How is he?" she asked. Ryder exhaled. "It's not working. I think he just needs time." Miria's voice was laced with quiet guilt. "He seems really upset." Ryder nodded solemnly. "It's the first time I've ever seen him cry like that." There was a pause. Then Miria spoke again, her tone softer, almost self-critical. "I thought I was good at this. Maybe not as good as I believed." Ryder turned to her, slightly surprised by the vulnerability in her voice. "I'm Miria," she introduced gently, "Mory's sponsor, and the one in charge of PAE." Hours passed. Stars shimmered quietly beyond the window. Ryder lay asleep, his face buried in a pillow. Aya had gone into low-power mode, her light dim and steady. From under the bed, a pair of tiny hands emerged. Mory slowly crawled out, his swollen eyes blinking in the soft moonlight. He glanced around. The room was still, peaceful. He climbed onto the bed, stood over Ryder, and smacked him in the face. "Ugh, Mory?" Ryder groaned, eyes half open. "Don't do that." Mory stared at him with narrowed, judgmental eyes before looking toward the open door. Beyond it, the hallway glowed faintly with moonlight. Curious and quiet, he crawled out. In the shadows, someone watched from around the corner. Mory wandered into the kitchen, his bare feet padding against the cold tile. He raised himself onto tiptoes, spotting a bowl of glowing fruit on the top shelf. Ryder had once said they were super rare and super tasty. Determined, Mory began climbing, drawer to counter, counter to shelf. Just as his fingers touched the fruit, he froze. Head snapped around. There, in the doorway, Miria stood, her eyes wide. Mory's expression turned to horror. He panicked. Utter chaos ensued. He bounced and scrambled frantically around the kitchen like a startled squirrel. Miria yelped and fled, disappearing down the hall, heart racing. Earlier, Miria had been lighting candles in her room, lost in quiet, lonely thought. Then she heard it. Sniffles. Turning, she saw a small figure tiptoeing through the moonlit corridor. From the shadows, she watched him enter the kitchen and begin his awkward climb. She didn't mean to scare him, but when he noticed her, his panic frightened her in turn. Now, concealed behind the wall, she peeked into the kitchen. She spotted him, crouched behind the table, eyes locked on the fruit bowl like it held the secrets of the universe. She smiled softly. Then, an idea. Miria gently rolled a single fruit across the floor. It stopped right in front of him. Mory stared at it like it was a trap. Seconds passed. Then, a tiny hand slowly reached out, snatched the fruit, disappeared behind the table. Crunch. He was eating. Miria lit up with joy, so she rolled another. He grabbed it faster this time. Again. Again. They kept it up until Mory's little belly was full. No words, just a quiet, wholesome exchange in the middle of the night. The sun rose gently, casting golden light across the mansion. The sound of the maids bustling about echoed through the halls. Mory's ears twitched. He bolted. Down the hallway, around the corner, he almost collided right into Ryder's legs. "Whoa!" Ryder caught him mid-run. "What's gotten into you this early in the morning?" Mory looked up, panting, then without a word, clung tightly to Ryder's leg. Aya, now fully recharged, floated nearby. Ryder scooped him up. All right, no more running around." Annie smirked. "You say that like a scolding parent, but your arms speak otherwise." Ryder grunted. "Shh, no one can escape his cuteness, all right?" Later that morning, Aya recalled the events of the day before to Mory. Miria had a meeting with the writer. His language is not quite human, but she lowered her voice. "He left the shelter. I only tracked him to his home. I didn't expect him to come all the way here." Her tone turned solemn. "I don't know how to express our thanks." She placed a box in front of Ryder. "Open it," she said softly. Ryder hesitated, unsure, then slowly lifted the lid. His jaw dropped. Inside, a radiant glowing crystal shimmering with shifting light. A star fragment. "This thing's worth at least 60,000, he muttered, stunned. "I'm rich?" He gave a nervous laugh, the weight of the past few days catching up to him. But then, he remembered time spent with Mory. The laughter faded. He saw every memory again. The ridiculous moments, the annoying ones, the sweet ones, the quiet bond that had grown between them. And with that realization, his smile disappeared, because wealth could never weigh as much as this little boy did in his arms. From the flicker of Mory's joyful mischief to the peace in his tiny sleeping face, Ryder's heart began to ache with realization. This wasn't just some job anymore. Mory had become a part of his life, a piece he never planned for, but one he couldn't imagine letting go of. Quietly, barely audible, Ryder muttered to himself, "I'm not ready yet." Miria blinked. "What did you say?" Ryder looked up, startled. I can't leave him behind. Look, I know this wasn't supposed to be permanent, but..." He glanced toward the hallway, where Mory had run off with Aya, and sighed. "If I disappear now, Mory'll break. He's been through too much already. I'll stay, just until he adjusts." Miria's voice dropped, touched with emotion. "You would do that? For us?" Before he could answer, a shadow loomed behind him. He turned and jumped back in horror. A tall, four-eyed alien stood silently behind him, gaze piercing. "Oh, don't be afraid," Miria quickly said. "That's just Gile, my aide." She smiled apologetically. "Forgive his rudeness earlier. He thought you were a kidnapper trying to exploit Mory." Ryder held up a hand. "It's fine. Honestly, I probably would have punched me too." Back in the hallway, Ryder explained the situation to Aya while Mory sat in his lap, chewing on a slice of fruit. Aya tilted her head. "Is that so?" "Shh," Ryder covered Mory's ears. "Don't say it out loud." Aya blinked. "Why? You said he doesn't understand complex words." Ryder cleared his throat. "Aya, maybe you could show Mory around the area for a bit. I'll talk things over with Miria and the others." Aya nodded, reaching out to Mory. "Come on, kiddo, let's explore." Mory took her hand and toddled off with her, glancing once over his shoulder at Ryder. In the vast meeting room, everyone had taken a seat. Miria stood at the head of the chamber, her presence regal and calm. "Thank you all for coming," she said. "Let's begin." She launched into the explanation. "We still haven't been able to contact Shalom." Leaned Ryder forward. "Who's Shalom?" The entire room stared at him in disbelief. One of the bird-like nuns gasped. "Don't you know?" "You at least know the judge, right?" Another muttered, pity in their eyes. Ryder scowled. "I know that much, okay?" Miria calmly continued. "The judge is the master of earth, the ruler of life. His two arms wield the omnipotence of weight. His three legs command the authority of balance." She paused. "There are 7 of us who've been granted the ability to open black holes for him. Myself, Patch, and 5 others, including Shalom himself." She gestured toward Gile. "The black hole he used to bring you here was created from a fragment of my own power." Ryder's jaw slackened slightly. Miria continued. "Shalom's domain spans this entire region, from these mountains to the Reedon River. That includes the forest where the shelter is located. It's all under his authority. When Mory vanished, we couldn't reach him, and for weeks I hadn't received the usual updates from the shelter." Another nun interjected. "It's probably nothing serious. Shalom is an extremely busy person, and these days, once they fall asleep, it's not easy to meet them." Miria sighed. "Still, I'll keep sending messages. Until then, Ryder, please remain with Mory. Don't move until we contact Shalom." Ryder nodded. "Understood." Suddenly, one of the maid nuns rose, a little too dramatically. "Shall we begin the real meeting?" Ryder blinked. "What real meeting?" With a flourish, she laid out tiny tableware. Cups, plates, forks, all absurdly small. "What is this?" Ryder asked. The maid smiled proudly. "Mory's personal set. I crafted it yesterday." Ryder gawked. "How is he supposed to eat with this?" The maid beamed. "Mory is tiny, no bigger than a finger." "Is he an ant or something?" Ryder shouts. The other maids quickly stepped in to console the first one, who looked like she might cry. Another maid patted Ryder's shoulder. "Don't worry, I made plenty of backups." They led him into a cozy chamber, showing off a massive bed. "Mory likes staying underneath bed," one of them chirped. "With this we are safe, even if Mory divides 40 more times." Ryder raised an eyebrow as they proudly displayed every tiny handmade item. He chuckled under his breath. They were really getting into this. Elsewhere in the villa, Mory held Aya's hand, quietly wandering the corridors. He drew sketches on the stairs and floors, peered through tall windows, and made little games out of ordinary objects. In the kitchen, he pointed at various things. Each time, Aya gently explained what they were. Suddenly, he pointed at something odd. Aya tilted her head. "That? That's just leftover material. From making something." Climbing onto the table, Mory examined the drawings. Handmade items. A cloak. He gently touched the sketch, eyes widening as memories resurfaced. A gift sent to the orphanage. A moment he never forgot. His tiny hands trembled. "Miria? She made this?" He looked up. Understanding began to bloom in his chest. A voice called out to Mory. A maid entered, smiling warmly. "Do you know, Mory, Miss Miria wanted to go searching for you herself? We had to stop her many times." "By the way, what have you two been up to?" she asked. Aya replied, "Just exploring." "Mory's very curious." Mory fidgeted with his bag. The maid knelt beside him. "Do you like it here?" Aya added, "I still don't get how this place appeared overnight." The maid smiled. "This is a villa Miria built herself. She made it to understand you better, Mory." Mory's eyes widened. Just then, Miria passed through the corridor. Their eyes met. Mory froze, and then he bolted, vanishing around the corner like a gust of wind. Miria stood there, heart sinking. Ryder watched from the distance, frowning in thought. Ryder stepped into the lounge, casually leaning against the railing. "I think it's time they became friends." Miria looked up, surprised. "You think so?" A genuine smile slowly crept across her face. "That would be wonderful." From the side, Aya chimed in. "Got a plan?" Ryder's eyes lit up with mischief and inspiration. He snapped his fingers. "Operation Befriend Mory is officially a go. Phase first. Tempt with snacks." Miria, now brimming with determination, held out a plate of her freshly baked homemade cookies. With a hopeful smile, she approached Mory and gently set them down. "Would you like to try one?" she asked softly. But Mory didn't even look her way, because surrounding him were dozens of maids, each holding their own cookie plates. Miria stared, horrified. Her unique offering was anything but. Aya, watching this chaotic cookie war, deadpanned. "Yeah, we may have completely overlooked the fact that literally anyone can bake cookies. Phase 2. Show interest in favorite items." "All right," Ryder said, arms crossed as he surveyed Mory's surroundings. He's not budging for food. Time for something more powerful. Mory's favorite things. Ryder's eyes scanned the room, then widened. Perfect. With military precision, Miria stepped in, now boldly wearing a custom outfit stitched with Mory's most treasured items. In her hand, the speaking doll itself. Aya blinked in realization. "Wait, this looks just like Mory's drawing of a Christmas tree." Miria strolled past Mory casually. He glanced up and froze like a deer in headlights. His eyes locked on the doll in her hand, then flicked to the items on her outfit. His expression twisted into sheer panic. I'm sorry," Miria stammered. "I'll return everything right away." He bolted. Another failure. Phase 3. Double the Ryder. Ryder grinned smugly. "Okay, hear me out. He likes me, right?" "So," Ryder continued, "what if we double me? He pointed to a motorbike being wheeled in by Aya. Aya shrugged. I drive more than you, but sure. Today, Ryder said, Miria learns to ride. Miria climbed on, trembling. Ryder stood behind, guiding her hands. Just twist this gently. The bike shot forward like a missile, Ryder hanging on for dear life, screaming, Miria, slow down! Mory, watching from a distance, did the only logical thing. He ran the opposite direction. The maids scrambled in all directions, desperately trying to stop the runaway Miria. Aya, arms crossed, casually commented, Yeah, this is why I drive. Ryder's scream echoed through the fields. Phase 4. The hero moment that never was. This one has to work, Ryder huffed, handing Miria a set of clothes identical to his. You're going to play me, and Giles agreed to be the villain. Miria adjusted the jacket. Understood. Giles loomed menacingly over Mory as the boy wandered the hallway. Ryder nodded. Okay, go. Miria burst through the door heroically, only to freeze, because Mory had already launched himself into the air, landed squarely on Giles, and taken him down like a feral animal. Giles, we agreed on bullying, Ryder screamed, but Giles was already running, with Mory clinging to him. They tried again, and again. Every attempt ended in pure comical failure. As the night deepened, rain poured across the villa's rooftops. Mory slept peacefully on a massive pillow. Until a shadow in his mind twisted into a haunting dream. He jolted awake, eyes wide, heart racing. Alone, a crack of lightning split the sky. Mory trembled. He pressed into the corner, his breath shaky. Then, slowly, he moved. The door creaked open as he slipped into the hallway. His tiny feet padded silently through the corridor, illuminated only by flickering moonlight and the hum of rain against the glass. He tried to find Ryder, who was too busy modifying some ridiculous gadget somewhere. Ahead, a warm golden glow poured out from an open door. Inside, Miria slept by the fireplace, her face calm in the orange flicker. Drawn to the warmth, Mory stepped in quietly. His eyes fell to a paper on the ground. A child behavior report. He tilted his head, confused. But then, another crack of thunder. Mory cried out and, without thinking, leapt. Right onto Miria's lap, she shifted in her sleep and wrapped her arms around him. A gentle, instinctual embrace. Mory froze. Then slowly he looked up. She was still sleeping. His breathing slowed. His hands trembled. And then he hugged her back. Something shifted deep within him. He remembered the gifts, the stitched cloak, the drawings, the way she had waited, the warmth he always longed for. And in that moment, Mory found his mother. Time passed. Miria blinked slowly, eyes fluttering open. When did I fall asleep? She whispered. She moved to rise, only to freeze. Mory was in her arms. He was still there, still holding on. She blinked in confusion, her cheeks burning. Why is he? She looked around, considering calling Ryder or Annie. But before she could move, Mory clung tighter, her breath caught. He looked so peaceful, so safe. Something inside her swelled, slowly, nervously. She wrapped both arms around him, cradling him closer. In the soft crackle of the firelight, in the rhythm of rain beyond the window, in the hush of night. A mother found her child, and a child found his home. As the first rays of morning sunlight stretch across the estate, Ryder slowly stirs awake. The events of the night still weigh on his mind. Aya, already awake and sharp-eyed, looks at him and simply says, "Good work." But she adds with a slight smirk, "Took longer than expected." Ryder chuckles wearily. "Yeah, I used to run my bike longer back in the day. Guess I shouldn't push myself too much now." He stretches and heads out, nodding to the passing maids who greet him with unusual enthusiasm. "Are you feeling okay, Ryder?" "We were so worried. Are you all right?" "You're glowing today, sir." Ryder blinks, confused. Before he can ask what's going on, a maid rushes by, flustered. "There's mail at the front door. I was supposed to get it, but I'm swamped right now." Ryder waves her off. "I got it." Thank you, please bring it to Miss Miria afterward. As Ryder crouches at the doorstep, he picks up the envelope, and his heart stops. It's a wanted poster. Dangerous criminals on the run, including himself. He's stunned, speechless. Then, Ryder! Miria's voice cuts through the air. He jumps in surprise and quickly hides the poster behind his back. Morning, Miria. You're in a good mood, huh? She laughs. Is it that obvious? Say, are you free today? All the time in the world, he replies nervously. Perfect. Let's pick out some clothes for Mory. Ryder freezes. Clothes? Public? The city center? He gulps. Wait, you mean the city center? She beams. Yep. Ryder's soul leaves his body. They're ushered into a bright white room by strange, professionally dressed aliens. Everything feels eerily clean. Ryder, now wearing a mask, whispers, Did we arrive? Miria nods. This is where they make custom clothes. You can preview designs virtually and tailor them live. Pretty cool, huh? The shopkeeper smiles. We've heard plenty about Mory. Mory glares. The maids beside him nod solemnly. They're ready. Suddenly, they present countermeasures. Miria had gathered every little thing Mory liked. Instantly, his interest is piqued. Ryder, however, warns. You really shouldn't follow people so easily. Miria stiffens. A chill runs through her spine. Ryder, still shaken by the poster, quietly scans the shop. How are they this rich? He mutters. A whole portal just for shopping? He whispers to Aya. Find the cameras. Aya scans the room. One lens behind you, two in front, and guards, within 5 meters. Ryder's heart pounds. Should I run? Stay quiet? Hide? Then, the curtain lifts. Mory stands before them in a fluffy bear costume, holding a honeycomb. Ryder lights up. Adorable! Aya squints. You're way too excited. Miria, meanwhile, is sobbing. It's amazing, she cries. Aya shrugs. It's fine. Ryder grabs the screen and swipes. Mory's outfit changes to a heavy metal rock star with a 4-wheeled bike and skull handlebars. This is it, Ryder cries. Aya takes over. Mory's attire shifts into a sleek, futuristic hybrid suit. She gasps. Perfect. The shopkeeper is inspired. The photo session begins. Miria cradles Mory in an oversized royal gown. Too cute. Another shot. Ryder's shirt is being changed while Mory wears a tuxedo, cookie in hand. Absolutely killer. But Ryder suddenly remembers the poster. That wasn't his fault. He had to fire the gun because Mory was kidnapped. Will they ever understand? He turns to Miria. I have something to tell you. But her words echo in his mind. How could someone as dangerous as you raise a human? He goes silent. About that letter, he asks instead. The one from Mory. Does it really mean lovely circle? Miria nods and pulls out a picture. A lush grassland. A house in the distance. She tells him how she found a flyer-like letter from Shalom. It played like a video. In the video, beyond the fields, a child sat in tall grass. Mory. She was stunned. How can something be that round? She had asked, eyes wide. And when the video ended, she had already sponsored him. It just happened. Ryder quietly says, not bad for a start. As Aya sorts materials, a worker stumbles. A screen falls. All the lights shut off. The worker panics and flicks them back on. A glowing circular light blinks on above Mory. Mory freezes. His breath catches. Trauma. He runs, terrified. Ryder and Miria gasp as he dashes outside. Slam. He crashes into someone. Ryder's eyes widen. An alien, like the ones from Chapter 1. Mory! Ryder yells. But Aya grabs him. If you go out there now, the cameras will catch you. His body trembles. He runs. The camera turns. Miria suddenly steps in front of Ryder. Her hand rises. A swirling black vortex opens. Soft, floral-scented. Mory, recognizing the scent, crawls toward her. They scoop him up, holding him tightly. Aya scans. Pulse. Elevated. Mara notes. He's sweating. Tears fill Mory's eyes. He grabs them both. He's safe. Scene in Nightfall. That night, Mory clutches a drawing with a letter on top. Miria, watching him sleep, whispers, "It wasn't just the light, was it?" Ryder nods. "A gun's flash is brighter, but he never reacted like that." Aya recalls, "Even when he accidentally burned all the trees, he didn't flinch at the brightness." Miria adds, "That's why we use oil lamps. Back when he had a friend, they only ever used candles." Aya remembers a file. Mory reacts badly to spotlights. Ryder thinks back to the cave. Even his flashlight had made Mory uneasy. Whenever the light suddenly gets bright, he panics. Miria's eyes darken. The circular light. The fear. She starts to understand. The next day, Miria sets a book on her table, focused. She finds Ryder. While Annie plays with Mory, the three begin planning. As night falls, the maids gather. One gives a signal, another gently carries Mory. They enter a special room. Mory sits, confused. Then, Aya steps onto the stage, holding a book. The background is filled with plants and flowers, a whimsical forest. She begins. "Once upon a time, in a forest, lived 3 little pigs." Mory watches, enchanted. She continues. "A wolf lived there too." Ryder watches from the shadows. Flashback. Ryder had asked, "What's a shadow play?" Miria had explained. They'd begin with a square light. Then, slowly, it would turn into a circle. And tonight, Mory watched, eyes wide, heart open, a warm light, a gentle story, a memory made. They weren't just entertaining him, they were healing him. Just then, Aya's eyes widened. She had just realized something horrifying. The storybook they were supposed to use during story time was the exact same book Mory had been doodling in all morning. He'd filled it with scribbles of pigs, wolves, and even himself. Aya panicked for a second, but she had no choice. She rolled with it and started telling a completely improvised tale. And then, she said, the little pigs decided to trust each other. They pooled their construction budgets, used their floor area ratios, and hired professionals to build an ultra-mega-amazing super-alloy 4th house, just to fight the wolf. Miria was visibly sweating. Ryder just stared. "What kind of nonsense is that story?" he blurted. The two of them began arguing like kids. But then, a sound interrupted them. Mory. He was laughing. A bright, innocent laugh. So pure and sudden it caught them both off guard. For a moment, the world paused. They looked at each other and smiled. They did it. Mory was having fun. The next morning, golden sunlight filled the room. Mory slowly stirred in bed, his eyes groggy, lips smudged with a bit of drool. Hovering nearby, Aya greeted him with a soft, "Good morning." He blinked, smiled brightly, clearly in a great mood. "You're up earlier than usual," she teased. Mory stretched, then rolled around lazily, until his eyes landed on Ryder. The man was still buried under his blanket. Mory crept closer, ready to poke him. But Ryder suddenly pulled the boy into a warm hug and mumbled, "Just 10 more minutes." Mory wiggled free and darted out of the room, full of energy. He ran past 2 maids who greeted him. "Good morning, young master," another scolded gently. "Careful, no running in the halls." But Mory didn't stop. He dashed straight into the kitchen, where Mia welcomed him with a smile and open arms. A whole month had passed since Mory arrived. He now ran through the mansion like it was his playground. In the kitchen, he threw flour into the air like snow. Aya laughed as it rained down around them. But the fun didn't last. A maid shrieked, "Mory, I just cleaned this." And before Mory could apologize, his stomach growled louder than a lion. Aya asked, panic. 3 maids stormed in, looking absolutely horrified. "He's hungry? He's gotten thinner. He's wasting away." Moments later, the head chef leapt into action, slicing, frying, plating with the speed of Gordon Ramsay possessed. A steaming plate landed before Mory. He devoured everything like a vacuum cleaner. By the end, he lay back on the floor, belly round, completely stuffed. The maids sighed in relief. Crisis averted. Giles showed up next, saw Mory covered in flour, and yanked him to the bath. He scrubbed Mory like laundry in a washing machine. "Hey, be gentle!" Aya yelled, pulling him back. "You're not washing a potato." Later, Mory wandered into Miria's room. She sat at her desk, sunlight making her glow like a painting. He stared in awe, captivated by her beauty. Then Ryder barged in. "Well, don't you two look scholarly?" he chuckled. Mory sat beside Miria, copying letters while she guided him. "He's learning how to write," she said proudly. Aya peered closer. "They're all wrong," she frowned. Still, Miria beamed with pride. "He's trying. That's what matters." Mory shuffled through some books and handed one to Aya. "Want to read this?" she asked. She opened it and started reading aloud. The topic? Pyrop, a mysterious biological phenomenon. Ryder leaned over, correcting gently. "That's division, not pyrop." Aya blinked. "I don't really understand the context." Miria stepped in, pointing to a passage. "It's a biological process some species undergo," she explained. "When their bodies reach the end of their lifespan, the cells shut down, entering a dormant state. And over time, they begin to divide again, returning to their original form." She paused. "I came from the judge's fourth finger," she added quietly. Everyone fell silent. Aya blinked. "That's kind of terrifying." Miria nodded. "It's why they need a safe place during that stage. They're completely defenseless." She looked at Mory. "How was that? Too confusing?" But he was already gone, elsewhere in the house. A maid turned a corner and froze. There he was again. Mory. This time, he was scribbling all over the walls, his tiny hands covered in crayon colors. He looked up at her, wide-eyed and innocent. Still mid-masterpiece. But this particular maid? Strict, impossibly neat. She wasn't letting this slide. She handed Mory a cleaning cloth and pointed at the wall. Time to wipe it off. Mory blinked, confused. Why was she making him erase his art? Still, he followed her guidance, reluctantly scrubbing the wall. From the doorway, Aya, Ryder, and Miria peeked in, amused smiles spreading across their faces. When Mory finally finished, he turned around, his face scrunched in frustration. His eyes shimmered with tears, lips trembling in a pout. Seeing his sulky little face, the maid smirked and teased, "Oh, I thought you weren't going to cry." She chuckled at his adorable reaction. But even after cleaning, Mory still looked deeply unsatisfied. Miria stepped in gently, kneeling beside him. "Mory, walls aren't for drawing, okay?" She explained with warmth, helping him understand, and taught him not to do it again. Ryder, standing nearby, decided to have a little fun. He leaned in and whispered, "If you do that again, Giles' gonna come after you, rascal." Mory's eyes widened in mock fear. Just then, ding dong. The bell rang outside. Mail had arrived. Ryder stiffened. "Me?" he whispered nervously, as if instinctively. Without waiting, he rushed out the door, desperate to get to the mail before anyone else. Miria raised a brow, watching curiously. Moments later, Ryder returned, eyes scanning the letter quickly. Relief washed over his face. Not a wanted poster. Thank God. Trying to act cool, he handed the letter to Miria. "Thanks," she said casually. "No problem," Ryder replied, grinning nervously. But inside, he was sweating buckets. But as Miria opened the letter, her expression changed. Her smile faded. Her eyes widened in shock. "Ryder?" she said, her voice firm. Ryder immediately froze. His mind spiraled. What's in that letter? Did she find out something? Did someone snitch? Miria's gaze darkened. "We need to talk." The tone left no room for argument. Ryder hesitantly stepped closer, heart pounding. Just as he was about to confess something, anything, Miria held something out, a black engraved stone. Ryder's breath caught. "This stone," Miria said, "opens the door to the judge's chamber." His knees went weak. She continued calmly. "I contacted the judge." Ryder's blood ran cold. His thoughts exploded into chaos. Had she reported him? Was she planning to hand him over? Was she just waiting for him to let his guard down? But then, Miria spoke again. "Have you ever thought about joining the patch?" Ryder blinked. What? Join their family? His thoughts stumbled over themselves. Miria reassured him, explaining everything. She'd sent a request to the judge, asking to make Mory a legal member of their family. And now, they had received a response. They were being summoned for an official meeting. She added that because there were no solid laws or precedents about humans, the judge likely wanted to see Mory, and her, in person. She hadn't heard from Shalom yet, but was confident they would support her decision. As Ryder listened, stunned, she continued. If Mory were officially registered, then any attack on him would be seen as an attack on their family. She promised that once she cleared Ryder's bounty, he'd be protected too. Ryder finally asked, his voice low, "How long have you known I was wanted?" Miria looked directly at him. "Since the beginning," she said. Ryder froze. Still confused, he stammered, "Wouldn't the higher-ups question you? For sheltering someone like me?" Miria smiled faintly. "I'll just tell them the truth. That Mory needed you, and you were the only one who could stop his crying." "And if they push harder?" Ryder asked. She shrugged. "I'll just subdue them." Ryder swallowed. She wasn't bluffing. Her black hole ability was no joke. Miria then recalled how Ryder had first met Mory in the Red Desert, and how that moment triggered the bounty on him. She admitted the bounty might not be easy to erase, but if needed, she'd deal with the aliens who issued it herself. She handed him the stone. "Life with us might be less exciting than wandering the desert." Then with a teasing smirk, "Also, I want you to be my husband." Ryder nearly fainted. "Just kidding. I mean, don't you guys want to sail them together? They would make a perfect couple." "Now let's go back to story. Stay with us." As family, Ryder looked down, nervous, voice trembling. "I will." He accepted. Later, Ryder stepped outside and spotted Mory sleeping on the floor. Aya stood beside him, arms crossed, keeping guard. Ryder tilted his head. "Why's our little guy sleeping on the floor?" Without waiting for an answer, he gently picked Mory up, holding him close. Aya raised a suspicious brow. "Why do you look so happy?" Ryder flinched. "Huh? I'm not. What are you talking about?" She narrowed her eyes. "Something good happened. I know it." They started bickering again, quietly, so they wouldn't wake Mory. Ryder knelt beside Mory again, brushing his hair back. "There, all clean, all ready. First impressions matter. I made sure our little Mory looks perfect." He turned to Mory. "Don't be nervous, all right? Just smile." He reached into the boy's bag and pulled out the magical stone. He crafted it into a necklace and placed it gently around Mory's neck. "This represents me," Ryder said. "No matter where you go, I'll always be with you." Mory's nerves eased. He looked up at Ryder, calm and steady. Miria stepped closer, noticing his expression. "If it's too much, we can delay the meeting," she offered. But Mory shook his head. Miria and Ryder exchanged a glance. Their boy had grown stronger. Miria retrieved the other half of the stone, and in a brilliant flash, a glowing black door appeared before them. She turned to Mory and said softly, "I'll go in first to pay my respects. Follow once it's time." With that, she stepped through the portal, disappearing into the light. As Mory stepped through the glowing portal, he found himself in a strange and vast chamber, surrounded by towering alien figures. Outside, Ryder and the others watched through a screen, tense and silent. Inside, Miria walked toward the center. The ground trembled beneath her. The air grew heavy. A strange energy pulsed through the space. Suddenly, a colossal, glowing blue entity emerged. The judge. Its presence was immense and suffocating. Miria bowed respectfully, addressing the judge without fear. Outside the portal, Ryder's face turned pale. He was trembling, sweat beading across his brow. "That's the judge?" Back inside, Miria subtly signaled with her hand. Giles saw it. He gently patted Mory on the shoulder. "Go on," he said softly. "Just stay calm and look straight ahead." Mory nodded, heart pounding. As he walked forward, a bright ring of light appeared beneath him. This time, unlike before, he didn't panic. He clenched his fists, took a breath, and kept walking with quiet confidence. Ryder and the others watching from outside smiled proudly. Their training, the Shadow Games, had prepared him for this. But just as Mory was about to reach his mother, he froze. His gaze shifted. And there, in the crowd, he saw them. The aliens who had once captured him. His chest tightened. His breath caught in his throat. Panic took over. He turned, ran, and slipped, slamming into the ground. The alien stepped toward him. Miria's voice rang out, sharp and desperate. "Mory, stop! Don't touch him!" But in Mory's eyes, the aliens twisted into monsters, ominous, threatening shadows. One reached out, and Mory lashed out in terror. He bit the alien's wrist. "Let go, you little brat!" the alien shouted, trying to pull away. But Mory refused. Miria prepared to unleash her black hole ability. But the guards rushed in. "No powers allowed," they warned. She froze in place, helpless. Then, a flash of blue energy shot across the chamber. In an instant, Mory vanished. The energy wasn't hostile. It calmed him, easing his fear. When he reappeared, he was inside a secluded part of the judge's realm. Miria could only watch, helpless, as the judge spoke aloud. "This child is unstable. He will remain under our supervision until we understand the cause." Miria didn't answer. Her eyes stayed fixed on Mory, on her son. Ryder clenched his fists. "This is insane," he growled. Ryder's outrage boiled over as he turned to Miria. "What are they even basing this on?" But Miria sat still, quiet, thoughtful. She was replaying it all in her mind. The moment Mory bit the alien, the fear in his eyes, his trauma triggered so violently. But then, something struck her. Why were the alien search units even inside the judge's chamber to begin with? A memory surfaced. A few days earlier, the three judges had raised the question. How did a human child from the Selam territory manage to make it all the way to Miria's domain? Alone? They doubted it was possible. The judges confronted her. "Did you order your servant to steal the human child from the shelter?" they asked coldly. Miria was outraged. "No, I would never." She insisted Mory had left on his own, but the judges were skeptical. How could a child dart across that much territory? Miria explained that she'd made Mory's clothes using lauter fabric, a material known for its protective properties. She believed that's what had allowed him to cross the borders safely. But the judges weren't convinced. They asked if she had intentionally weakened the boundary. Miria shook her head. I just read in old records that infants can weaken for trivial reasons. I used it because I wanted Mory to grow up healthy." Her voice trembled slightly. She continued. "When the shelter stopped sending updates for months, I sent a servant to check on him. That's when we found out he was missing. From that moment, we began tracking him." She paused, breathing deeply. "This is the first I've heard about the boundary weakening." The judges asked when Mory had arrived in the city. Miria replied, "A traveler had brought him." "And where is this traveler now?" they asked. She hesitated. "He's no longer in the city?" Ryder, listening quietly, realized Miria was covering for him, protecting him. But the judges weren't satisfied. Without the traveler, there was no proof of her story. The judges revealed more. They said that after entering the city, Miria had briefly lost sight of Mory. And in that short moment, the boy nearly got trampled under someone's feet. To stop it, you even used forbidden force to intervene, an act that could have hurt Mory even more. Then, they looked Miria dead in the eye. "Do you understand the consequences of your actions?" Miria nodded solemnly. "Yes, I do. I was careless, and I'm truly sorry." Then came the blow. The judges declared, "Mory is human. He should have never stayed here. He must be relocated to the restricted zone." Miria's heart dropped. She pleaded with them. "Mory has already had to adapt to so many environments. Moving him again, especially to a place full of unfamiliar humans, it'll destroy him." The judges didn't budge. "He cannot even speak properly with humans," one said. "He lacks the intelligence to integrate." "Do you agree?" Miria's voice turned firm. "He may not be fluent, but he communicates just fine." She asked for permission to speak to Mory one more time. Some judges agreed. Others remained skeptical. But one leaned forward. "Our priority is the happiness of the human child," he said. And with that, the meeting ended, dismissed. As Miria prepared to leave, a voice called out to her. Suddenly, she was pulled into another realm. Before her stood the high judges. A vision appeared. Mory smiling, waving at her. He ran to her and leapt into her arms. She hugged him tightly. But then, he aged rapidly. He grew older and older. The judges spoke. Humans live short lives. Can you bear watching him wither before your eyes? Tears filled Miria's eyes. Her heart broke. She clutched Mory close. But she knew. This was reality. After holding Mory close in that vision, Miria felt the weight of reality crash down on her. The truth of his short human lifespan struck like a thunderclap. Tears spilled from her eyes. And after that moment, everything changed. A week passed. Miria hadn't spoken much, hadn't eaten, barely left her room. The maids whispered quietly in the hallway. Ryder, Aya, Gail, they were all worried. "Is Madame Miria all right?" they asked a maid as she stepped out of Miria's room. She simply nodded. But her face told a different story. Another maid added, "It's been over a week, and she's barely touched food." Ryder clenched his jaw. "I should speak to the judges," he muttered. But Gail immediately intervened. "No," he shook his head firmly. "That'll only make things worse." Ryder blinked, confused. Gail continued, "You really don't get why she lied to the judges, do you?" He looked Ryder in the eye. "You're a wanted outlaw, reckless, dangerous, known across the desert. Even if she's under suspicion, do you think they'll believe her and you?" He took a deep breath. "If they knew that you created Aya someone who is capable of acquiring knowledge even after knowing it's illegal, they might even confiscate Aya." That was the last straw. Ryder's fists clenched tight. His voice rose. "Confiscate Aya? She's mine. I created her. Who the hell do they think they are?" He shouted with fury. Aya rushed in, trying to calm him down. "They're not saying it will happen," she said softly. "They're saying it could, if you act rashly." Ryder realized his outburst and stormed out of the room in silence. Outside, he wandered, lost in thought. He thought of Mory, of that tiny, brave kid, of the judges, the cruelty, his helplessness. Rage bubbled under his skin. Then, knock knock, a package arrived. Ryder picked it up at the door. He opened it, and his eyes widened. Meanwhile, inside her study, Miria sat in silence. Lonely, sad, drowning in research. Then, slam. Ryder burst through the door, holding a letter in his hands. "Miria," he shouted. "They responded?" "The judges, they granted our visitation request." Miria stood abruptly, stunned. The spark returned to her eyes. The maids quickly rushed to prepare everything. Mory's favorite snacks, juice, toys, cookies, all carefully packed and handed over to Miria. She nodded, her voice full of gratitude. "Thank you." Fully prepared, Miria and Ryder exchanged one last glance. And then, she stepped toward the black door. As before, it appeared with a shimmer of energy. Without hesitation, she stepped through. Ryder followed behind her. Two tall guardians waited inside. "You'll follow us," they said. They led Miria through a dark corridor, past massive floating stone structures and advanced vehicles flying overhead. Inside one of the vehicles, Miria opened her bag and pulled out a small drawing. A picture Mory had made. Her, Ryder, Aya, all smiling hand in hand. A bittersweet smile formed on her lips. She had to stay strong. Up ahead, Mory lay inside a high-tech incubation chamber, cold, alone, hooked to tubes, surrounded by machinery. Miria's heart clenched violently. Her baby being treated like a test subject. Without thinking, she stepped forward. "What are you doing to him?" she demanded. "Explain yourselves." One of the alien staff turned and calmly said, "Subject 1125 has been refusing food, so we've been supplying him nutrients directly." Miria's eyes widened. "What? He's refusing to eat? Since when?" The alien replied in a cold, detached tone. "Since the moment he arrived. His cloak was confiscated for security. Since then, he's shown extreme aggression. Every staff member has been bitten. Physical contact has been banned." Miria's fists trembled. The alien held out a clipboard. When he wakes up, you may speak with him, but only from this designated area. Now please sign." Miria stood frozen, staring at Mory's fragile little body. The cords, the wires, the pale look on his face. "Right, I'll sign." Before she did, she reached into her bag. "These are Mory's favorite foods," she said softly. "They're already cut into small pieces. Feed them to him slowly, and don't let him drink juice too fast." She handed over his favorite toys too. A small blanket, a stuffed doll. A memory flashed in her mind. The day she found Mory lifeless in her arms. Her breath caught in her throat. I need a moment," she whispered. She turned away. Her footsteps were heavy. Back in the chamber, Mory stirred. His small, drowsy eyes slowly opened. He blinked and caught a glimpse of her walking away. "Ria," he whispered. He tried to move. His arms reached out, desperately. His tiny voice echoed through the room. Ria." Tears welled up in his eyes. The system blared a warning. His distress was rising fast. The alien scrambled. "He's unstable, sedate him," someone yelled. A tranquilizer hissed. Mory sobbed. His vision blurred. His arms fell to the floor, and he collapsed. Man, this scene was heartbreaking. Watching our sweet, playful Mory, who always lit up every moment, get reduced to this, it shattered me. I could feel the tears welling up. No one that pure deserves this kind of pain. I just pray he doesn't have to suffer any longer, that he finds his way home soon, and finally gets the peace and happiness he's always deserved. Back home, night had fallen. 2 maids whispered in the hallway. "She's been in her room ever since," one said. "We should bring her food," the other whispered. "Or maybe leave her alone." Ryder listened nearby, face grim. Then, without a word, he marched to Miria's room. Inside, Miria sat in silence, eyes blank. Ryder stepped in. "I'm not in the mood," she said coldly. "Leave." Before he could speak, Aya noticed something glowing on the desk. Ryder followed her gaze. An orb, inside it. A letter of resignation. Ryder's heart stopped. "You're giving up," he whispered. "Tell me you're joking." Miria said nothing. Ryder's voice rose. "You just saw Mory? How can you give up now? Do you think he's some kind of object, to be handed off and discarded?" Still silence. "You're just going to let him go?" Suddenly, dark energy flared from Miria. The air around her pulsed with anger. "Don't make me angrier than I already am," she growled. "I'm choosing what's best for Mory." Ryder bit his lip, his hands shaking. "That's bullshit," he snapped. "You don't even understand what's happening to him." Miria turned sharply. "Then explain it to me," Ryder shouted. Her voice cracked. "He's not eating." Ryder froze. Miria's voice trembled. "It's been 2 weeks since the judgment, and he hasn't eaten a single bite. He's hooked up to nutrition tubes like he's nothing." Her eyes filled with tears. I just stood there, helpless. I was selfish. I knew humans lived short lives, and I used the excuse that I couldn't reach Shalom just to avoid sending Mory back to the shelter. The truth is, I wanted to hold on, to create a bond, to stay together just a little longer, because it felt too good, too perfect to let go. I convinced myself Mory was happy too, but deep down, what if this was never really about his happiness? What if I was just chasing my own? And now, the longer this fight drags on, the more it's wearing him down. If Mory gets sick because of me, if this keeps going, she broke. It'll kill him. Ryder caught her before she hit the floor. "You idiot," he yelled. "Stop talking like that. You're acting like it's already over." Miria looked up, broken. Ryder softened his voice. "Did you forget? Mory is tiny." She blinked in confusion. Even Aya was stunned. "What?" Ryder clenched his jaw. "He's so damn small, so fragile. One wrong move could end him. But you know what? He still crossed the Red Desert. He still made it all the way to you. With nothing but his tiny hands and determination. He came to find his mother." He looked her dead in the eyes. And you're seriously going to make that mean nothing? The room fell silent. Then Miria whispered, I got a message. She paused. The judge said, they'll assign human parents to him, because humans believe children should be raised by a mother. Her lips trembled. So tell me, Ryder, what am I supposed to do? Ryder didn't hesitate. He grabbed her by the shoulders. Who cares what they said? If it's about being a mother, then we'll do it. We'll become his mother. Miria and Aya froze. Miria's breath hitched. What? Inside the grand hall, the team gathered once more. Aya stepped forward, her voice crisp and focused. All right, let's go over this one more time. Everyone leaned in. Ryder crossed his arms, nodding seriously. To win this judgment, we have to prove something. That we're way more awesome than any parent from the restricted zone. A maid tilted her head, curious. Specifically, what should we be more awesome at? I mean, what's the competition here? Aya, always prepared, pulled up the data. According to Miria's research, humans reproduce by forming a couple. Two adults, bound by contract marriage, raise offspring together. They call them parents. Ryder raised an eyebrow, smirking. So we're a couple now? Finally, Ryder said it. My boy Ryder finally dropped the bomb. Miria, flustered, stammered. Couple. That word sounds kinda cute, doesn't it? From the corner, Giles glared darkly, steam practically rising from his head. Aya, continuing calmly. So, there's a dad and a mom. Which role do you want? For reference, when asked, 89% of human children Mory's age answered they prefer mom. Instantly, without hesitation. Both Miria and Ryder shouted in unison, I'll be the mom. Ryder, still thinking, raised a hand. Hey, wait, is it still called a couple if it's two moms? Aya replied, we don't have much data, but I think it should be fine. A maid stepped forward, suggesting brightly, how about emphasizing strength? I heard humans admire fighters. Aya, correcting, not just strength. This text says humans also admire wealth. Ryder puffed out his chest proudly. Well, if it's about power and money, Miria's got nothing to worry about. Aya turned to him and struck fast. Ryder, aren't you broke? A visible wound appeared on Ryder's pride. The two immediately started bickering in the background. As usual. Their friendship? Pure chaos. Another maid chimed in. How about proving who cares for Mory the most? Miria pondered aloud. How? Do we even prove something like that? Maid 1, boasting. I hugged Mory over 600 times. Maid 2, proudly. I think he stepped on me about 400 times. Maid 3, depressed, sulking. I only scolded him, tearing up. I should have just let him draw on the walls. Another tried to lift the mood. I did my best with Mory's meals. He never left a single crumb. She paused. Wait, what happened to the last meal I made? Miria answered gently. It was sent back. He's refusing to eat. The cheer faded. The room grew heavy with guilt. Someone asked, hesitantly, is this all the data we got from the shelter? Miria nodded. Yes. Communication wasn't smooth from the start. Even translating took too long. Everyone knew. Without more information, we won't be able to. Suddenly Miria spoke. I need to meet Shalom. Shock rippled through the room. Giles, shocked. You're going without an invitation? That's too dangerous, Miria, serious. With the data we have, we're helpless. Shalom knows the most about humans, especially about where Mory was first found. A maid hesitated. But the place where Shalom is. Miria, cutting in. The playground. Ryder, blinking. Playground? What's that? Miria explained. It's a space Shalom created before humans had a domain. He used all his power to make it. He calls it the playground. Ryder immediately imagined literal swings and slides. Giles quickly corrected him. It's not that simple. If you stay too long without permission, your sense of self collapses. It's dangerous. Miria, resolute. I'm still going. Ryder also joins. All right, then let's get ready. Miria, surprised. You're coming? Ryder, proudly. Of course. We're the moms now, remember? Aya, teasing. I knew you weren't in your right mind. Giles said to Miria. Allow me to come too, Mirianim. I'll make sure my lord is comfortable. A maid muttered dryly. Miria will end up protecting you both anyway. Miria smiled slightly. If I give Giles some of my black hole energy, he can move separately for a day. With that, we'll find Shalom faster. Preparations began. Fast, intense, focused. Ryder standing in a corner. I never thought I'd see a star fragment used. A maid standing nearby snarked. You forgot? We nearly stopped you from using one to find Mory. Miria gathered everyone together. This fragment will take us where we need to go. But without an invitation, we have no idea where we'll land. Stay close. Suddenly, a black hole opened beneath their feet. They screamed, fell through the portal, and they hit an ocean. Thankfully, close to shore. Sputtering and soaking wet, they dragged themselves onto dry land. Thus began their journey, across seaside plains, through misty valleys, over rugged mountains and swampy marshes. They crossed rivers, climbed ruins, explored dense forests, faced terrifying beasts that lurked in the shadows, always pushing forward, always searching for a glimpse of Shalom. As night fell, they found shelter in an old, hollowed-out cave. There, they rested. Ryder asked, Miria, you okay? Miria smiled faintly. It's been almost 100 years since I traveled like this. It's beautiful. I wish Mory could see it. They fell silent, each imagining how Mory would react. Aya, teasing. He'd probably try to eat it. Ryder, laughing. Yeah, he puts everything in his mouth first. Aya, with him, our luggage would have increased by 67%. Giles, grumbling. Why does a tiny creature need so much baggage anyway? But in that silence, Giles spoke quietly. At first, I didn't understand Miriam's attachment to the human child. But as I spent time with Mory, I realized he's more difficult to handle, more messy, more exhausting. But his voice softened. I never want to see that fearful expression on his face again. Everyone sat quietly, lost in the memory of a tiny boy who, without even knowing it, changed all of them forever. And that's it for part 1 of our story. If you enjoyed this journey and want to see what happens next, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more amazing chapters coming soon.